Now Austin Davis, who had a couple of stolen bases in last night's game, scored the tying run after getting on and then stealing second and third and eventually coming home. That pitch misses inside, ball one. West Virginia with the 7 steals last night, now 95 for 116. For most teams, that's an entire season's worth of stolen bases, and it's 2-0 on Austin Davis. Davis hitting .277. He's got a couple of home runs. Brown delivers, and there's a strike. 97-mile-an-hour fastball.
And we talk about this week in and week out, but the stuff that Cam Brown brings, so electric. He's got 3 great pitches, the slider and the changeup to go along with that fastball, but he's got to do everything he can to try and eliminate the free passes, especially to the dangerous base runners that we've talked about already.
3-1, and if Davis gets on, it's almost like handing him a triple. Cam Brown trying to battle his way back into this count here. Down 3-1. Ball 4, he walked him. Well, Davis will go down to first base with a leadoff walk. Randy Mazey runs this lineup out there this afternoon. Davis followed by Weatherholt. Victor Scott, another speedster, bats in the number 3 spot. Grant Hussey. And then you see the rest of the lineup there. They rank first in the Big 12 in stolen bases and third in the NCAA in stolen bases. And they have speed at the bottom, too, with Taven Tucker.
We were talking about this before the game. It's not just the speed from these guys in the West Virginia lineup. They know how to steal bases.
First pitch fastball misses outside, ball 1.
And we were able to see it, especially with Austin Davis last night, who's on first base right now. The way that he's moving around, trying to pick up any little movement that he can from the pitcher, just so smart on the base paths.
Pretty good lead over at first, and Cam Brown throws in his direction. 16 for 18 on the year for Austin Davis. Even more difficult for a right-handed pitcher to keep him close. Another throw over. And the thing that Davis, as well as Scott, Barry, and Tucker do for you, as you see what J.J. Weatherholt has done this year, the freshman with a good start to his first year as a Mountaineer. That pitch off the shin guard and all the way down the first. Orlando, Florida. That pitch missed inside, 3-0. And you have alluded to it. I mean, this has been Cam's problem, is finding the strike zone. He hasn't been able to stay in games very long, in part because his pitch count is elevated so quickly. There's a strike.
You're exactly right. Last week against Kansas State, only 3 innings for Cam. Gave up 3 hits and 3 runs as well, but had 4 walks in that game. And when you combine those things together, not able to get in the strike zone early, that pitch count soars pretty quickly.
Here's the 3-1 to Weatherholt inside, ball 4, back-to-back walks. To start the game for the Mountaineers, and they have runners at first and second, nobody out for Victor Scott. Scott hitting an even .300. Second on the team in homers with 5. Leads the team in stolen bases. Pickoff play out at second. Tommy Sacco Starting in behind Victor Scott, who was 0 for 3 in the game last night. Did have a walk. And a couple of stolen bases. Fastball missed high for ball 1.
And now the question here is, what do you want to do if you are Randy Mazey, this Mountaineer coaching staff? Obviously, I wouldn't be surprised to see these hitters, taking a lot of pitches, making Cam Brown throw strikes.
Another pickoff play out at second. And again, Davis able to get back. And TCU forced to get their bullpen busy already in this game.
Well, and I would think this is something that was prescribed before the game, is knowing that the trouble that Cam has got himself in the first inning. Do you start that bullpen quickly? That definitely what TCU's going for here.
Brown throws it into center field. Both runners will advance. On the throwing error by Cam Brown. And over the last 3 or 4 ball games, the Frogs have not been playing TCU baseball. In this inning alone, we've had Brown struggling to find the strike zone, a pass ball, and now this error on the throw out to second base.
And we talked about how big the little things are in last night's game, ultimately becoming the differentiator in the game.
Cut on and missed, and it's 1-1 on Victor Scott.
You get the straight steal of home in the 9th inning, and River Ridings does everything right. Off the mound, steps off, delivers a strike home. Curtis Byrne ultimately not able to hang on to the ball. And then you compound that with another error. Then West Virginia takes the lead, and there's your ball game.
1-1 breaking ball missed low, 2 balls and a strike. Yeah, the execution on the part of the Horned Frogs was perfect on that straight steal of home. Had Curtis Byrne been able to maintain possession of the ball, the game would have been over. But the shoe or the spike of the runner, Abernathy, kind of kicked the ball out of his glove. That one foul right back. And it's 2-2. Davis over at third base. Out at second base is J.J. Weatherholt. TCU playing the infield back here in the first inning. They'll give up a run in exchange for an out. On that pitch, it's missed low and inside. Davis was halfway down the baseline at third, just trying to distract Cam Brown.
He just never stops moving, and that's what West Virginia has shown they're going to do once on the base pass. This is a good pitch from Cam Brown. Doesn't get the call from Jason Millsap behind the plate.
Full count. Ball 4 out. Curveball missed high, and the bases are loaded. Kirk Sarlo stepped out of the TCU dugout. There's already been 1 mound visit, so if he goes to the mound, it would be all for Cam Brown. The TCU has also been playing from behind in a lot of these games. They get out to an early lead, and like they did last night, and was able to obviously maintain that till late in the game, in yesterday's game. But we've seen over the midweek games, TCU falling behind early and then having to fight and claw their way back, which then takes them out of the way they like to play offense. There's a good breaking ball from Cam to Grant Hussey. Hussey hitting .256, leads the team in homers with 6, 0 for 4 last night with 4 strikeouts. Bases loaded here, nobody out. Cut on and missed. Good fastball at 95.
Even now, Chucks, when you've got to be careful here, 0-2, you don't want to have any of these pitches catch too much of the plate, but you also can't be wild, or else that's going to force in a run.
97-mile-an-hour fastball on the black. That's what Cam Brown can do.
And this is so good here. Fastball dotted on the outside. Exactly what Cam needed in this situation. He finds himself now a pitch away from getting out of this inning with no damage done, but you've got to continue to make great pitches now to Ippoliti here at the plate for the Mountaineers.
Ippoliti 0 for 2 with a walk last night. Takes a slider for a strike. On the year, Ippoliti hitting .316. TCU playing the infield at double play depth. This one is bounced fair, just over the first base bag. 2 runs are going to score. Rounding third and heading home is Scott as the throw is cut off, and it's 3-0 West Virginia. And that's just a bad break for the Horned Frogs. That ball, Ippoliti now out at second base with 1 out. Brown misses high. Last week in his start in the first inning against Kansas State, they loaded the bases. He was able to get out of trouble in that inning without giving up a run. Ippoliti back to the bag out at second base.
You know, at least with the last 5 or so, you've seen some better pitches from Brown. Obviously, he gets the strikeout of Hussey, and then that pitch that ultimately beats Ippoliti, but
on the ground to first. Bishop has a problem getting the handle on the baseball, and it's an error on David Bishop. Second error of the inning. Runners at first and third now as Ippoliti advances 90 feet and still only 1 out.
And another one that's just weak contact. This is a good breaking ball, but Barry just cues this off the end of the bat. It's got so much spin. That's one of the hardest plays for a first baseman to make. Although the ball's hit so softly, you've got to just keep your head on it. Bishop not able to corral that one. Mountaineers continue their momentum here.
And Cam Brown now to 26 pitches here in the first inning.
You know, and what I was getting at before that play is, you know, he's starting to make better pitches, a couple of weak contacts in a row after the strikeout, but it just can't take you 20 pitches into a game to get warmed up like this.
Pitch missed inside to Dane Leonard. Leonard 0 for 2 in last night's ball game. On the year hitting .286. Junior does have a home run. And that Ippoliti over at third base. Out at second base, Barry. And Leonard over at first. Ball 2 missed outside.
Marcelo Perez, a guy that in past years TCU has toyed with moving into the starting rotation, so he's used to potentially being in these longer outing situations. Not something he's done recently, though. Have to try and change that mentality into that of a starter.
On the ground towards third, glove by Taylor. They go to second for 1. Over the first, double play. What a start of that double play by Braden Taylor as he gets the Frogs out of trouble. 5-4-3 on the double play, but West Virginia takes the early lead. They score 3 runs on just 1 hit. Again, we're playing from behind. It's just... On the mound for the Mountaineers is the left-hander Ben Hampton.
Ben Hampton, the sophomore, makes his 7th start of the year for West Virginia. A 4-1 record in 37 innings pitched. Has struck out 39 and walked 6. The TCU's got their hands full again today as well.
Let's take a look at this double play that ended the inning. It looked like it could have been a worse fate for TCU in that first inning, except for this great play by Braden Taylor.
You see this ball chopped by Kluska, and that's just a tough hop. It's in between. It's not a short hop, not a long hop. But Braden Taylor, you know, the hope with that, you and I were both talking during the break, is for TCU, you've got to hope you get 1 out. They're able to get 2 and get out of the inning.
Elijah Nunez will lead it off for the Horned Frogs here. TCU trailing 3-0 in the bottom of the first. After Nunez, it'll be Taylor, followed by David Bishop and Gray Rogers. Tommy Sacco, the shortstop, bats 5th. Curtis Byrne bats 6th. Batting 7th is Luke Boyers. Bobby Goodlow, the DH again today. He bats 8th, and batting 9th in left field, Garrison Berkeley for Kirk Sarlos, who's in his first season as the leader of the Horned Frogs. Nunez with a rough night last night. 0 for 5, 3 strikeouts, saw his 20-game on-base streak end in last night's ball game. Looking to start a new one here today. He takes a breaking ball low and outside, ball 1. On the year, hitting .310. That pitch off the plate. Looks like I think Jason Millsap has a pretty tight strike zone. There's a strike. Nunez trying to get something going for the Horned Frogs, fouls it off.
You can see already how fast Ben Hampton is working. Another one of those guys that just wants to get the ball and go. That's why he's successful. 4 wins already this year. Was a freshman All-American last year as well.
Tried to spin a breaking ball, but missed outside. Full count, 3-2. On Nunez, leading things off for TCU, and Nunez draws a leadoff walk. For West Virginia, their defensive alignment looks like this today. Great speed across the outfield for the Mountaineers. Braden Taylor takes a strike on a breaking ball. Taylor 0 for 2 last night, but he did walk 3 times, including in the bottom half of the 9th inning when TCU had a chance to come back. They had the bases loaded. David Bishop was at the plate. You see what Taylor's done in his sophomore campaign. .348, 4 home runs for Taylor. Hampton having a little problems locating that breaking ball right now.
Talk about Taylor's at bat in the 9th inning of last night's game. That was as close to a professional at bat as you'll see. You get up in that situation, you want to get the big hit to tie the game, win the game, but he's just not chasing anything outside of the zone.
Popped up, shallow left field, long run for Barry. Going out as the shortstop, and he can't make the catches. That ball glances off of Tucker's glove. And Nunez is able to make it safely to second base. Braden Taylor aboard over at first. That'll be a base hit for Braden Taylor.
Another break here for TCU. This one off the end of the bat of Taylor. You can see that one straight up. off of the bat. This is just really kind of in no man's land, that Bermuda Triangle. You know, Tucker goes for that ball with two hands. That really a one-handed play, but an awkward angle for him having to run back and to his right.
David Bishop at the plate now for the Horned Frogs. With runners at first and second, nobody out, takes a curveball for a strike. The other part of that was the wind is blowing very hard from left to right, so it was pushing it back towards Tucker as he was sliding. Bishop 333, 4 homers on the year. Bishop rips it into left field for a base hit. Nunez will stop at third, and the bases are loaded for TCU with nobody out here in the bottom half of the first inning.
Another good swing from David Bishop. This is definitely what he was looking for in the 9th inning of last night's game, but he gets one that he can handle from Hampton. He's done so good at hitting that pitch at the lower part of the strike zone. This ball hit too hard for Nunez to come around on and score, but now it's TCU that's got the bases loaded and nobody out here looking to answer.
Rogers skies it to left field. Too shallow for anyone to tag as the catch is made by Braden Barry, and there's one away.
Not the at-bat that Gray Rogers wants in that situation. You're already down 3. You've got to find a way to have a productive out and get a run in at least. This one just popped up to shallow left field. No chance for Nunez to tag up and score from third base.
Well, now Tommy Sacco will hit for the Horned Frogs with 1 out and the bases loaded, and Sacco takes outside, ball 1. Tommy 2 for 4 last night. Trying to get TCU on the board and cut into a 3-run deficit here in the bottom of the first, and Sacco skies this one to shallow center field. Scott coming on, makes the catch, and again, not deep enough to allow Nunez to tag. And Nunez stays over at third base. And it'll be left up Curtis Byrne to try and get the runs in. And when you've got a guy like Hampton who who gave his numbers and the fact he was a freshman All-American, you have him on the ropes here in the first inning. It's really, I think, important to try and score at least a couple or get at least 1 in. And, you know, a lot of times a pitcher able to navigate through that first inning and settles down, and then you can't get to him again. Curtis Byrne takes a strike, but it'll take a 2-out hit from Curtis Byrne.
That's exactly what we saw with Jacob Waters last night. TCU gets after him in the first inning, 3 great swings that amount to a run, but then not able to mount any other type of offensive threat.
Backdoor breaking ball to Curtis is in for a strike, and it's 0-2. Byrne last night 0 for 2 with a couple of walks. That pitch in the dirt, and a nice stop by Dane Leonard, the catcher.
And we talked about the theme of these Big 12 series, Chuck, is the margin for error is so small. And you mentioned it, when you get somebody like Ben Hampton in a bases loaded, nobody out situation, you have to take advantage of that and execute as an offense, because you don't know when you're going to have opportunities like this moving forward. Randy Mazey has to be happy right now with at least how his sophomore is handling that situation. He's got 2 strikes now on Curtis Byrne, a strike away from getting out of this with no damage done.
Byrne skies this one to straightaway center field. Scott with plenty of time to camp underneath and make the catch for the final out. So after loading the bases, Davis walked and scored last inning. Sends this one to deep right center field. Making the play is Nunez, and tagging and advancing is Tevin Tucker. And you you said it. Keep your foot on the gas. That ball, the deep right center field. Nunez able to run it down, but Tucker just tags and advances 90 feet, gets himself in scoring position.
And it seems like a simple play. This is just not something that you're going to see a lot of teams do. More often than not, I would say majority percentage of the time, you're going to see that runner just get as far away from first as he can and then retreat as soon as that ball is caught. But the immediate move for Tucker is to tag up, and he basically steals second base without having to actually steal it.
Weatherholt takes a strike. Weatherholt walked his first time up. Pickoff play out at second. Tommy Sacco darting in. But Tucker able to get back just in time. Perez's pitch in the dirt, got away from Byrne, throw down the third, not in time, and another advancement on the infield. And once again, we see just that aggressiveness and speed and great base running for the Mountaineers, giving them opportunities to score another run here. And the other thing it does, if you're a pitcher now, you start to get a little gun shy because you're worried about balls in the dirt. You're worried about, well, I threw a pitch in the dirt, you know, trying to get a swing and a miss. It didn't get that far away from Byrne, but the runner was able to advance. Full count on Weatherholt.
I don't know if I've ever seen this defensive alignment at this level. You've got both the infield in and the shift on. Tommy Sacco playing on the right side of second base. You're basically completely giving up the left side of the field. If Weatherholt's able to get anything on the ground, not directly at Braden Taylor, he's going to have himself an RBI single. But to your point, you know, Chuck, the great pitchers are able to tune out base runners sometimes, but these West Virginia players, they're constantly in your mind.
Ball four, he walked him. That may not be the worst thing in the world if you're the Horned Frogs. That is dependent upon whether or not you can keep Weatherholt pinned to first base. He does have 9 stolen bases. There's virtually everyone in this lineup can run, with the possible exception of the catcher. You take a look at Taven Tucker over there. Over at first base, Weatherholt just one away. That pitch is low, ball one to Victor Scott. Scott's tough to double up, he is very fast. Infield shifted around towards right, throw over to first base, and the runner able to get back. There's Weatherholt over at first base after the walk. On the ground, Rogers goes to second for one, throw to first, not in time, and a run will score. And that's a product of the speed from the batter, Victor Scott.
But even this one, Chuck, TCU not able to execute. This is the one play that you have the chance to turn a double play on Scott. This ball hit sharply at Gray Rogers at second base. He's able to make a good turn with Sacco, as we'll get a look at it here, but Bishop not able to hold on to that throw. It didn't look like it bounced, headed that direction, but another run comes across for West Virginia.
Now 4-0 Mountaineers. Swing and a miss. And again, you know, a leadoff blue base hit. Tucker goes to second on the fly ball to center field. Goes to third on a wild pitch and scores easily on a ground ball. And now you got to deal with Scott over at first base, who was a threat to steal. And it just looks like the speed has really caught TC a little bit off guard. I mean, Tommy Sacco has a great arm and all, trying to rush that throw, realizing how fast Scott is, you know, throws it a little bit low. And, you know, it just puts pressure on you, not only the pitcher, but the defenders and everyone else, recognizing that, hey, you know what, they're going to take an extra base. They're going to, you know, it's going to be a close play over at first base. There goes Scott. The pitch is taken for a ball. Throw down to second, not in time. Scott has another stolen base. He's now 24 of 27 on the year, and that's the 96th stolen base for West Virginia this season.
Talk about teams forming their identity. I think it's very clear what this West Virginia team is. It's speed, pressure, it's high pace, intensity. They're never going to let you rest.
Swing and a miss by Hussey, and it's 1-2. Now, and the only way to defend this is keep them off the base paths. Can't steal first, so if you keep them off of first base, you don't have to worry about it. Fake throw out to second. Or, as Kirk Sarlo said the other day, or get a lead. You know, if you get a 2 or 3, 4 run lead, all of a sudden you take them, you know, kind of out of what they can do, because outs are at a premium at that point. That one fouled to the screen. And really the only two ways you can defend some of what they're doing. Pitch missed low. 2-2 the count now on Grant Hussey. TCU trying to get out of this inning with minimal damage done. Swing and a miss. It off, took the first pitch for ball 1. Backdoor breaking ball. Found the outside corner. 1-1 on Boyers. Boyers 265, a couple of home runs. 0 for 2 with 2 walks last night. Down in the count here, 1-2, is after struggling through the first 3 batters and loading the bases. Hampton has really settled down nicely and kept the Horned Frogs off balance. And there's a swing and a miss by Boyers, 1 out.
You see just how efficiently that Hampton is working right now. I mean, it seems like Luke Boyers at the plate for 20 seconds, sees 4 pitches, and he's back in the dugout. And it's hard to get in a rhythm offensively against a guy like that. It's going to take somebody having a good at bat.
Breaking ball missed outside, ball 1 by Bobby Goodlow. And Goodlow's done a good job since being inserted into the lineup. 333. Bounces this one slowly towards second. Charging is the second baseman, Kleska, and he can't make a play. Goodlow is aboard. That'll be an error on Kleska. Goodlow had a couple of walks last night. He was 0 for 2, but on base. twice.
We saw Mikey Kleska make a couple of these plays yesterday where he has to charge in and ultimately throw across his body, just not able to corral this one as he works through it. Goodlow finds his way to first base once again.
Garrison Berkeley takes high for ball one. Berkeley getting the start in left field for the Horned Frogs. 1 for 9 on the season, and he waves at that breaking ball. It's a 111 batting average on the year. Strike 2 call. And Garrison Berkeley. And that hits Berkeley in the leg. He'll go down to first base. So a little something brewing for the Horned Frogs here in the second inning. It's the first 2 of the first 3 batters reach base.
See this one, Hampton just trying to go back inside. Pulls on that one a little too much. Berkeley gets a break there, and he's able to reach base as well. And for TCU now, 5 base runners already in this game. You've got to do something to convert those to runs, especially if you find yourself down 4 here early.
TCU left 10 on last night. That pitch way outside to Nunez. Nunez with a walk his first time up. Got as far as third base where he was left stranded. Now, if you're TCU, you have to have something positive start to happen, as it's been really since the 9th inning, the top of the 9th in last night's game. Things were going TCU's way, and then all of a sudden, that 9th inning, where you had the straight steal of home and then the extra run coming in, it's been, you know, kind of a negative vibe. And of course, the sluggish start to this one. Outside, ball 3, 3-0.
You know, obviously, if you're TCU, your focus is on the game today, and you've got to find a way to even up this series to then move on. But if you take a step back, you know, you look at the schedule coming up, you've got 12 games against the 5, 6, 7, and 8 ranked teams in the country. It's only going to get tougher from here.
Ball 4, they're loaded back up. Well, they've got to get back to playing the brand of baseball that they were playing early in the year. They struggled in these 2 midweek games, and then yesterday with their offense. So it's, you know, it's kind of one of those things that just needs to, almost like to hit the reset button and get back to the way they were playing in the run-up really to Tuesday night's game here at Lupton Stadium. They have been playing very well, so they know they're capable of doing it.
You know, the struggle for TCU really has been just execution over the last handful of games. It's situations that they've been in like this that they just haven't been able to convert like they were before. Now this situation though, TCU with the bases loaded, they've got 17 walks with the bases loaded already this year.
There's a breaking ball strike on the outside corner to Braden Taylor. Taylor had a little bloop base hit off the glove of the shortstop Devon Tucker as he tried to make a play on it, sliding in shallow left field. Another breaking ball, strike called. That breaking ball just 79 miles an hour. High fly ball, right field. Davis tracking it, makes the catch, tagging from third base is Goodlow, and he'll score. And TCU finally able to get on the board. It's now a 4-1 ball game on the sacrifice fly by Braden Taylor. He drives in his 23rd run of the year.
Taylor able to at least make the adjustment to get a ball deep enough into the outfield to score that first run of the day for TCU. He's gotten a couple of those breaking balls from Hampton now. Obviously he's wanting to do more with his at bat, but he's able to make that adjustment. See that ball straight up into the air, but it's deep enough. Garrison Berkeley able to get his way over to third base on that play as well. So now it's runners on the corners and 2 outs.
Slider missed outside. For ball 1 to David Bishop. Way outside. Hampton doesn't throw hard, and when he does show a fastball, a lot of times it's not even in the strike zone. It's just to let you know that he's got one. Everything else has been off speed like that. Breaking ball. Nunez was taken off for second, has to put on the brakes and come back as they throw behind him over there. That little spinner just 75 miles an hour. Last night you saw 97, 99 out of the West Virginia starter, and today you're seeing 20 miles an hour slower, and another one at 77. A little breaking ball that keeps finding the corner. It's a tough pitch because you give up on it if you're the hitter, especially a right-hander. Fouled at the plate. Another one at just 78 miles an hour. Over at third base, Garrison Berkeley. He was hit by a pitch earlier in the inning. Nunez aboard over at first. He reached via the walk. Bishop fouls another one off. That one right at the TCU dugout. We've seen David Bishop be able to make adjustments on the fly this season. Trying to dial in that swing on the 75-mile-an-hour breaking ball. Pulls another one foul, that one at 81.
Well, we've seen what David Bishop likes to do with anything on the inner half. We saw him pull a ball into left field back in the first inning as well. And that breaking ball from Hampton is going to be coming hard into Bishop.
There goes Nunez, and again it's foul. Well, Bishop hanging tough on some of these breaking balls. Another 2-2 pitch coming. Bishop swings over the top, and he's down on strikes. I think it's imperative, Connor, that Perez gets a quick inning here and gives his offense a chance to maybe get something done against Ben Hampton. See what Pollity's done this afternoon with that double just inside the bag. And it really was a pitch that Cam Brown, who was on the mound at the time, the 97-mile-an-hour fastball that actually beat him. It was just a bad luck in terms, if you're a Horned Frog fan.
It was an excuse me swing by Polity. He was so late on it. It was over the middle of the plate, but he pushed it down the line and was able to stay in between Bishop and that foul line. There's a good breaking ball in for Marcelo Perez there. And I feel like we've been a broken record saying that it's imperative for the TCU pitcher to have a quick inning, but that's what happens when you get down early. And you know, TCU, they've been playing from behind. We've talked about, you know, the lull that they've gotten into in the middle part of games. They've got to do something to turn that around here today.
One hopper right back to Perez. He'll underhand the Bishop for the out, and that's a good start to the inning for Marcelo and company.
That's exactly how it's got to start for Perez. It's a good downer breaking ball. He's got a good one to go along with another fastball. A guy with good stuff coming out of that TCU bullpen. Marcelo's been around the program for a long time. this his 4th season, so he understands what needs to happen, what he needs to do here. It's just a matter of can he execute.
Braden Barry at the plate takes a fastball inside, ball 1. Barry reached on an error by David Bishop back in the first. So 0 for 1 officially in the game. Takes another fastball inside, ball 2. Good pitch on the corner. Perez goes back to the fastball. Two and 1 count now on Braden Barry, and he's ahead 3 balls and no strikes. And another guy you don't want to fool with. He had a couple of stolen bases last night. He's only been thrown out twice all year long, 9 of 11. Line to right field. That's going to drop in for a base hit. Good piece of hitting by Barry as he stayed right on that baseball and took it the other way. 3rd hit of the afternoon for West Virginia.
Barry's had himself a good series, couple of hits last night. He talked about his stolen bases, scored ultimately the winning run for the Mountaineers last night, able to stay on this fastball in a 3-1 count. And this is what happens when you're pitching from behind. You know, your opposing hitters are able to lock in on that fastball, put a good swing on it. Now we'll see what the Mountaineers do here with 1 out.
Pitch is taken for a ball. Quick throw behind the runner at first base, but he's able to get back. West Virginia winners of 5 of their last 6. TCU on a 3-game losing streak. Trying to turn that around here this afternoon. Braden Barry chased back with a throw over. Dane Leonard is at the plate. Good to see him up here in the 3rd inning after getting hit in the head with a fastball his first time up. There goes the runner. Throw down to second. Not in time as Ray Rogers tried to put the tag down, but another stolen base for these Mountaineers.
And it's not like they're stealing these bases because Curtis Byrne can't throw. We've seen what he's able to do, and this is not a bad one. A good play on the back end by Rogers to pick that short hop. But you see Barry just slides in there, and he's able to beat the throw again. Now West Virginia with the runner in scoring position. Only 1 out here.
10th stolen base in 12 tries for Barry on the year. Rogers playing up the middle. Goes over to first base for the out. Barry advances to 3rd on the play with 2 outs now. He's talking over 3rd bases. You see Rogers, the 3rd base coach, Steve Sabins, former OSU coach, on the lines over there at the 3rd base. Been with the Mountaineers for a long period of time now, those 7 years. Swing and a miss. We have another former OSU player over at first base, Mark Ginter. Mikey Kluska 0 for 1, grounded into an inning-ending double play back in the first, which doesn't do justice to the great play that Braden Taylor made to start that and the turn Made out at second base by Gray Rogers. Kluska takes a strike. Oh, and 2 on Kluska. Perez stepped off. Runner at third base. Braden Barry yelling balk, balk, balk. But Perez had stepped off. Barry just continues to bounce around out there. That one is fouled. And an awkward swing there by Kluska. Like an emergency hack, as that breaking ball was coming down into the strike zone. West Virginia doesn't stand still on the base pass. Barry is bouncing around as soon as that ball is in the hand of Perez. That one's chopped foul. Marcelo comes set, and then Barry just starts dancing all over the place at third base, trying to distract him.
And he's trying to get that balk. You're exactly right. And this is just what they do. I mean, they're not going to stop. They're always going to try and manufacture runs.
Fouled off as Perez climbed the ladder with a fastball. And the count remains no balls and 2 strikes.
They're 8th in the Big 12 out of 9 teams, only hitting .254. They're not just going to sit in and try and outslug you. So scouting reports are coming to fruition here in Fort Worth this weekend.
In the air, left field. Berkeley camps underneath and makes the catch.
And pitching staff, and until the Horned Frogs are able to show that they can handle it, I don't anticipate that slowing down anytime soon.
Gray Rogers leading things off for TCU. So the second name on that list, Elijah Nunez, he's been stuck at 16 stolen bases for quite a while as that pitch is in for a strike. And part of that's just because TCU's been playing from behind. It's hard to steal bases when you don't want to risk giving up outs. Breaking ball to Rogers, missed outside. 2-1 the count. Rogers lines it back through the middle. Gray did a good job of staying right on that pitch and just hitting it right back up the middle.
You took the words out of my mouth. It's a perfect job by Gray Rogers. You can see how balanced he is through that entire swing. You know, that was always my approach against left-handed hitters. You're just trying to stay in on that. It's very easy to pull off because it's a little bit uncomfortable, but Gray continues to show that he's able to stay on those pitches, and he's a great hitter when he does.
Tommy Sacco at the plate takes a breaking ball for strike 1. Not only does Hampton's breaking ball have a lot of sideways tilt, it's some of them that he's thrown's got a pretty good downward tilt too.
He's got a couple different breaking balls and a changeup that cuts a little bit as well. Most everything that he throws is going to be moving into those right-handed hitters. We saw him get David Bishop on a good breaking ball earlier that swept all the way across the plate.
Sacco swung through that pitch. Rogers over at first base with the base hit a moment ago. Picked up his career 100th base hit with that ball up the middle. We saw Sacco do it the other night, and Braden Taylor on the weekend. Sacco pulls it foul. A couple of Horned Frogs with their 100th career hit. Sacco 0 for 1 today. Flew out to shallow center field back in the first inning. On the ground, that is a foul ball. Boy, in real time, that looked fair. Just over the bag, but Mark Winters called it foul. If it was foul, it wasn't foul by much.
It's a game of inches. It really is these little things. And you can see there is a little bit of daylight between that ball and the foul line. So I think a good call by Mark Winters down the line.
And we saw in the first inning the ball going the opposite way by Pauly to just inside, stayed just inside the chalk stripe and resulted in 3 runs for the Mountaineers. Sacco strikes out on a breaking ball. And there's 1 away.
Great pitch by Ben Hampton here to get Tommy Sacco, who's had a great season up to this point. That breaking ball just falls off the table late. It looks so much like his fastball again because they're really on that same plane. It just fades out of the zone at the end. A big out for Hampton here in the bottom half of the 3rd.
Curtis Burke will come to the plate. Takes a fastball strike on the inside corner. Not a lot of velocity on his fastball. That one's just 85 miles an hour. But he's able to, when he throws it, keep it on the edges. 0 for 1 for Curtis today. He flew out his first time up and he's down in the count, 0-2 here. Rogers not a guy who's a threat to steal under normal circumstances, but certainly not trailing by 3. They check on him over at first base. Byrne fouls that one off. A good play made far into the dugout by Trip Bantham. That breaking ball with no bite didn't come back. So the count, a ball and 2 strikes now on Curtis Byrne. That one fouled right at the plate, trickles down towards the TCU dugout. Byrne able to spoil a pretty good breaking ball that time by Hampton. There goes Rogers. The throw down to second base is off the glove of the shortstop, Tucker, and on into right field. Well, break for TCU. Had that play been made, it's actually the second baseman, Kluska.
Huge break for TCU here. Gray Rogers was dead in the water. And you can see that hesitation there really slowed down his momentum. That throw beats him by a few steps. But it drifts just far enough away from Kluska. He's not able to catch it and apply the tag. Big break for the Horned Frogs.
And now a chance for Byrne to drive in a run as he hits this one to deep right field. Back goes Davis, still back, he jumps, can't make the play, that one's off the wall. Rounding third and heading home is Gray Rogers. He'll score on the stand-up double by Curtis Byrne. And Davis is still on the ground out on the warning track as he hit that fence hard, jumping in the air, trying to make one. Struck out, swinging back in the second. Now TCU, strike 2 call. Last night in the first inning, strung together a couple of hits, took the lead. get a couple of hits here, but they really have been struggling to make adjustments to some of these pitchers that they've seen. Able to take that one for a ball.
And that really was the message from Bill Mosiello to this TCU offense before the game today. Is we saw the first inning yesterday where they're able to get after Jacob Waters a little bit, and then again traffic on the bases against Ben Hampton here this afternoon. But the problem for TCU is, as they've had success against these pitchers, the pitchers have made adjustments, and the Horned Frogs have not been able to do that.
Just off the outside corner. 2-2 the count now on Boyers, and the entire game of baseball is just about those things, making those adjustments. You know, if you're getting hit, the pitcher's going to try and change things up, and you've got to follow suit. And with Hampton, it's a little bit different than the guy throwing 99. They're just going to have to shoot baseballs the other way here. You see the swing and the miss by Boyers, and again, it's another TCU hitter just trying to pull off the ball. You can see him just way out in front.
For anyone that knows Bill Mosiello, he so eloquently said before the game, if you don't want to see any more breaking balls, maybe hit a few of them. And that's exactly what TCU needs to do. They need to show that they can stay on some of these pitches from Hampton. And the other side, you got to give credit to Hampton. He's going to what he knows that could be successful, and another example of him settling in, albeit TCU's able to scratch a couple of runs in these last 2 innings.
Bobby Goodlow at the plate takes the strike. And the other thing is, like, that breaking ball looked like it floated in a little bit. Goodlow reached on an error. And you're going to have to hit the bad ones, because when he's got that good depth to it, there's really not much you're going to be able to do to it or do with it. Goodlow pulls it on the ground, but right at Hussey, the first baseman, will take it to the bag himself for the final out of the inning. TCU able to pick up a run.
For the Mountaineers so far, if Perez is able to navigate through this, it's going to go a long way with allowing him to carry it through this game.
Foul off the end of the bat, back to the backstop. Tucker with a single today, scored the 4th run of the game. He singled leading off the 4th. Eventually came around to score after advancing all the way to 3rd on a wild pitch. Chopper, left side, tough play for Braden Taylor. Had to wait for it to come down, and then is still able to throw out the runner over at first base. I don't know what happened to Tucker, because he wasn't running very hard.
TCU gets a huge break here. Looks like Tevin Tucker is looking for the foul ball call. Otherwise, I would say this is an automatic infield single for him with how fast he is.
And Randy Mazie has gone out to take a look at it, or to talk to the. You can see right there, he's just standing there, not moving at all.
You can see with how high that ball is chopped, I like to think that he would have been through first base on that one, regardless of what happened to Braden Taylor over at 3rd. A good break for TCU and for Marcelo Perez.
Yeah, I thought when Taylor had to wait as long as he did for that ball to come down, that it was, if anything, it would be a bang-bang play where Tucker would already be across the bag. Instead, I looked up and he was 15 feet away from first base. Randy Mazie went out to argue with home plate umpire Jason Millsap, but Millsap said, I didn't see it or hear it hit the batter, so it's an out.
And you can usually tell by the reaction of the hitter. I'll tell you this, it does not feel good when a ball goes off your foot, so it's pretty visible when you can see when that actually happens versus maybe potentially trying to sell that to an umpire.
Austin Davis at the plate. There's the 0-1 from Perez. Good breaking ball, cut on and missed. Well, he didn't react like it hit him in the foot. He took a couple of steps and then sort of decided he probably should run. If it did hit his foot, it had to hit the bottom of his shoe or something, because you're right, if that is straight down on top of his foot, he's going to be hopping around a little bit. He didn't sell it. Outside, a ball and 2 strikes.
Marcelo starting to show that he's really comfortable with that breaking ball. Today we've seen a couple of good ones since he came in back in the first inning. One of those guys that can pitch off of that slider when he's got it. Got a great fastball though too.
Trying to keep Davis off the bases here. And he does. Swung on and missed. Davis strikes out. For Marcelo, just his second strikeout since entering the game back in the first.
2 big outs for the Horned Frogs to start this top half of the 4th inning. I feel like we've been talking about Tevin Tucker and Austin Davis on the bases since the first inning of last night's game, but now you've got a chance here to get out in a 3-up, 3-down inning, something we haven't seen a lot of this week for the Horned Frogs.
Weatherholt takes low and inside for a ball. TCU had 2 3-up, 3-down innings in 3 of them last night. That was it. Otherwise, there's been traffic on the base paths every inning for West Virginia. Weatherholt takes a strike on a fastball over the outside corner to level the count at 1-1. Braden Taylor in on the grass. Weatherholt watches that one miss low. There's Taylor off the line, in on the grass. The shift is on once again for another left-handed hitter. And again, Marcelo misses low, this time with a fastball. That'll run the count to 3-1.
Weatherholt with a few strikeouts last night, was on the wrong side of some perfect pitches from Riley Cornelio, showing today though the discipline that he has at the plate. He's taken a couple of good ones. Pitches you often see swings and misses on.
He's walked twice already today, and he walks for the 3rd time in the ballgame. So he's down at first base with 2 outs. And another guy who will run when he gets an opportunity. 9 of 13, although he does not have a stolen base this weekend.
And this TCU coaching staff's got to be frustrated with that one. You've got 2 big outs to start this inning, and then a 4-pitch walk to the 2-hole hitter.
Victor Scott making his way to the plate. The runner over at first base. Weatherholt backs up while Perez remains off the rubber. Now Perez gathers himself and delivers. Good pitch on the corner for a strike. Victor Scott 0 for 1. Walked and scored back in the first. Bounced into a fielder's choice his last time up. Pitch missed a little bit low to even the count at 1-1.
Perez up to 3 1/3 innings in his outing today. His career high was 4 1/3, and that was at Kansas State last year. So he's got more gas in the tank.
Throw over to first base, and Weatherholt able to get back. Perez ready on the mound. The runner takes off. Here's the throw by Curtis Byrne down to second. They finally got somebody. As Weatherholt is thrown out trying to steal second base for West Virginia in the 4th. No runs, no hits, nobody left on base. We'll head to the bottom of the 4th. Little flare to shallow right center field. It's going to dunk in for a base hit. Another one of those dying quails that happen from time to time.
That's a good way to describe this one. Not the strongest contact, but Berkeley able to play that ball into shallow right center field. And for TCU, you'll take anything that you can get at this point. You need traffic on the bases. You need to continue to put the pressure on Ben Hampton. And you've just had a relatively quick inning from Marcelo Perez. Got to try and get something here. Take some of that momentum back from the Mountaineer dugout.
Randy Mazie comes out and talks to Jason Millsap just to the right of home plate. I'm not sure what they could be discussing here. Mazie will head back into the dugout. Looked like he had this lineup card or something in his back pocket. Elijah Nunez will come up for the Horned Frogs. Go over to first base, and Berkeley back to the bag. Trailing by 2, I would imagine TCU kind of play station-to-station baseball. Curveball to Nunez, misses inside.
You know, you say that, having to play from behind, and that's not TCU's brand of baseball either. Is they're not a station-to-station group. They like to put the pressure on. We've seen how aggressive Bill Mosiello is as well. That's just one of the things that you have to deal with playing down.
2-0. You saw Nunez walked both prior times to the plate in this game. Fouled to the top of the screen just beyond the TCU dugout. Move the count to 2 balls and a strike. We saw West Virginia's bullpen struggle a little bit last night, and certainly if you're TCU, you'd like to get into it as soon as possible. Good bunt, drag bunt by Nunez, and he's going to be thrown out by a half a step over at first base. It's a great bunt by Nunez, and even better play by Hampton to get over there and make a play at first.
Such a good play by the pitcher, Ben Hampton. You can see Nunez just takes this one for a walk down the first base line. And get another look at how good this bunt was. If anything, you could have bunted it a little bit softer. But Hampton makes a fantastic play, and he only makes that play because he's left-handed. If he's right-handed, there's no chance that he's able to get that ball over to the first baseman.
It does get the runner into scoring position for Braden Taylor. And it'll be credited as a sacrifice bunt for Elijah Nunez. Taylor 1 for 1, has a base hit. That came back in the first. Picked up a sacrifice fly in the second. Up now with an opportunity to pick up another RBI if he can give Berkeley a ride home from second base. But he's down in the count, 0-2. Berkeley out at second.
We talked about how Ben Hampton's, all the action on his pitches are going to be running away from Braden Taylor. It's interesting to see West Virginia shifted over to Braden Taylor's pull side.
And Taylor strikes out. Another good breaking ball from Hampton. And now it'll take a 2-out base hit from Bishop.
This was a good one. You see Braden's just out in front of it. A good pitch breaking away from him, and Hampton again has a chance to wiggle his way out of this 4th inning, still with the lead intact.
David Bishop at the plate now for TCU. Takes a strike. Hampton doing a good job of moving the ball around in the strike zone. Doesn't throw hard, but he's been up and down, in and out. Really keeping the Horned Frog hitters off balance. Just stayed up and away from David Bishop. That's a pitch that Bishop, we've seen Bishop go the other way with. And you can see that the speed of that pitch just completely threw him off. He's just not used to seeing something that slow.
The tough thing about those breaking balls that are up like this, and you see how much downward break that Hampton's has when he throws that slower curveball. It's just, it looks so high coming out of the hand.
Goes with the fastball, misses down and in. Every fastball he's thrown, for the most part, has been a show-me fastball. It's just off the plate, inside, or well outside to where the batter can't get to it. There's been very few fastballs that he's thrown that are center cut. And rightfully so when you only throw 85. Strike three call, Bishop. Big game for both of these teams here this afternoon. Obviously, TCU wants to get back on the winning track, and for West Virginia, they're looking to take a series on the road from the Horned Frogs, something that they have only done one other time since these two teams started playing against one another back in 2013. TCU 23-7 all time against the Mountaineers. Frogs have, up until now, have swept all three series that they played here at Lupton Stadium against West Virginia. To see what Victor Scott has done today. That's obviously not going to happen this weekend, with TCU losing last night. In the air, foul off the left side and out of play. Two balls and a strike on Victor Scott. Middle of the order, 3, 4, and 5 for the Mountaineers here. Good backdoor breaking ball from Marcelo Perez. That'll leave the count up at 2-2. A little bit low, full count. And again, another guy you don't want on base, that's for sure, especially leading off an inning. Perez deals a 3-2 pitch, pull foul. That one down the far end of the West Virginia dugout, and he hops over the sidewall down there.
As you think about the rest of this game for TCU right now, reaching about the halfway point, and what is the strategy? Obviously, you're trying to get as much as you can out of Marcelo Perez, both Savage and Ridings, two of your immediate go-tos out of the bullpen, throwing close to 30 pitches last night.
And there's a walk to start the 5th inning with Victor Scott, and that is not the guy you want to walk. He heads down to first base. He's got a stolen base in this game, 24 of 27. And don't be surprised if he's off on the first pitch.
Yeah, you know, immediately what that does, the leadoff walk to Scott, it lengthens this inning considerably, because you know, we're going to see pickoff attempts. You've got to worry about his timing over there at first base, and there's one right now to start him off. And it ultimately, Chuck, just takes attention away from Marcelo Perez with his main focus, and that's getting these hitters out, keeping them off the bases such that he doesn't have to worry about them.
Big swing and a foul tip into the glove of Curtis Byrne by Grant Hussey. Hussey has struck out twice in this ball game. Once swinging, once looking. Perez could use a strikeout here or a ground ball right at somebody. Frogs have the shift on. Time is called as Scott over at first base was making an adjustment to his equipment, wanting to put on the sliding glove a lot of players wear now to protect their hands. Going back to the bag with the dive. Although he's got the sliding glove on the left hand, he went back with the right hand.
To each their own. It is funny. You see some guys love those things and others can't stand them.
The oven mitt.
The oven mitt. I didn't go with the oven mitt. I went with more of a wrist brace, because when I slid feet first, I would always jam that backhand into the ground and caused issues. Everybody's got their different thing, though. You see how the just equipment has continued to evolve. See a lot of those C flaps on the batting helmets that, you know, Hussey's got one on right now.
Swing and a foul. And Hussey strikes out for the third time in this game. Big strikeout for Marcelo Perez.
Tough weekend for Grant Hussey. 4 strikeouts in last night's game. This is third so far today. And again, a big out for Marcelo Perez. They're all big outs at this point for TCU. You've got to just continue to scramble, try and get yourself in a lead, and then from there you've got to try and build one.
Vince Ippoliti at the plate, throw down to the first behind the runner, but Scott's able to get back after the pitch was taken for a ball. Ippoliti has a double. Also grounded out. Scott trying to get the dirt out of his trousers. And you see what Ippoliti's done here today. Throw over. Scott able to get back. Yeah, you're right about the equipment changing. And improvements in safety gear. Helmets too. I mean, we saw, you know, Leonard get plunked on the head by 97-mile-an-hour fastball, stay in the game. And 15, 20 years ago, that could have resulted in a lot different outcome. Perez trying to navigate around a leadoff walk. They've got him picked off. Bishop runs him towards second. And the ball is dropped. And now Tommy Sacco was saying to the umpire that it was swiped out of his glove by the runner, and they call the runner out. They're going to say the tag was applied and then they knocked it out of his hand.
Now we get another look at this here. TCU, they've got Scott picked. And Sacco goes after him. Now the ball's dropped. I believe what the call actually is that he's out of the baseline, because Tommy Sacco did drop that ball. You've got to possess it all the way.
Oh yeah, I think you're right.
You see how far out of the baseline that Scott gets. You can see the marks from his cleats out there, way outside, back where David Bishop would normally play defensively.
In any event, it's a big pickoff for the Horned Frogs, and Marcelo Perez as it erases a tough runner in Scott. It'll go 1-3-6 on the putout. I saw that. I saw Tommy motion like this, and then I saw the umpire motion with his arm. That's why I thought maybe Sacco was saying he slapped the ball out of my glove. But you are 100% correct. That was just running out towards the outfield to stay out of the way of the tag. And a break really for TCU because the ball did come out. Although I think Tommy Sacco's point was that I was trying to reach him when he was going out to right field, and as you were reaching, the ball just fell out. And you also right there could see the speed of Scott because Sacco was having a hard time catching up to him as he was running him back towards first base. In the air, deep right field. Boyers on the run, has room. Gray Rogers leading it off for TCU. A ball in the strike on Rogers, who is 1 for 2 today. Had a single his last time up, came around to score the second run of the game. Another good breaking ball from Hampton. Rogers swings over the top of it. And he was saying before the series that his family loves to make this trip, but his son Weston playing baseball in West Virginia, so Amanda and Sierra end up staying there in West Virginia. Couldn't make the trip, and they were very disappointed they weren't able to come to Fort Worth. Obviously have a lot of friends here. Bouncer right side. Easy chance for the second baseman Kluska, and he throws out Rogers for the first out here in the bottom half of the 5th inning. Tommy Sacco at the plate, lines it right at the third baseman Weatherholt. He couldn't have hit it any harder, but unfortunately for Tommy and the Horned Frogs, Weatherholt was positioned perfectly.
Yeah, tough luck for Tommy Sacco. Great swing in the bat.
Curtis Byrd coming to the plate. Here's what he did his last time up. He launched this ball to right field off the wall, scoring Gray Rogers, who was on base at the time. That made it a 4-2 ball game, which is exactly where we sit right now. Curtis Byrd takes the strike. It's been that kind of weekend for TCU. Balls they've hit hard seem to be right at someone. That one is ripped to left field, and again, Virginian takes a strike. The left fielder been up a couple of times in this ball game. Leaving the count at 1-1 as that pitch misses low. Barry's been on base twice, reached on an error back in the first, and then singled to right field his last time up, 1 for 2. Little cue shot that took a wicked hop. Bishop stayed with it, and Perez got over in time to cover the bag, but that ball almost went 90 degrees to the Bishop's right.
That's the second cue ball that Barry has hit in the direction of David Bishop. We saw Bishop make an error on one of them back in the first inning, but he's able to adjust and corral this ball. A nice play over there at first by the freshman Bishop to get the first out here in this 6th inning.
He's saying, why me? Why am I getting all these strange hops?
Chuck, if I had $1 for every time I thought that playing first base.
You wouldn't be sitting up here.
No, absolutely not.
That pitch is outside to Dane Leonard, ball 1. Leonard was plunked in the helmet back in the first and then grounded to Rogers at second base his last time up. What seems to happen more to first baseman than anywhere else on the infield, those kind of weird spins.
Well, if you just think about where they're positioned on the field, if you've got a right-handed hitter, it's probably going to take some funky spin to get over there, unless you're just really late on a fastball, which is what we saw from Ippoliti back in the first inning. But otherwise, you're going to see a lot of those balls that are just off the cap of the bat, and they're spinning in an abnormal way.
Chopped on the ground, left side, right side rather, and Bishop able to stay back and allow Rogers to make the play. And there are 2 outs.
Rogers does a nice job going back into his left on this one. Able to get that over to Bishop. And again, Marcelo Perez, 2 quick outs here.
Let's see if he can get a 3-up, 3-down inning here, but he'll have to face Mikey Kluska. Kluska went after an off-speed pitch, came up empty on that first swing. 0 for 2, grounded into a double play back in the first. Flew out to left field. And that double play back in the first, you know, really looming large, because that's an inning that West Virginia really could have broke this open. They scored 3 times, and TCU still trails in this game by 2. So Frogs have not caught up from that deficit. But, I mean, they had the bases loaded and only 1 out, and it could have been a whole lot worse before things were over. That double play at least kept the game close. Swung underneath that fastball at 93. Still good velocity from Marcelo Perez. And the way Perez has pitched, wouldn't be surprised if he gets a chance to start at some point. Game, 95 pitches for Hampton. And you wonder how long Randy Mazey will let Hampton go. A ball and a strike on Luke Boyers, leading off the 6th for TCU. He has struck Boyers out twice here today. And as we speak, Randy Mazey gets a right-hander up in the bullpen. That pitch hits Boyers in the foot. And he'll go down to first base. A little leadoff hit by pitch. That's the 4th batter that Hampton has hit this year.
We talked about how everything that Hampton throws is going to move into those right-handed hitters. This one, similar to the pitch that we saw Bishop strike out on back earlier in this game, but it clips the foot of Boyers. And another gift for TCU. 7 men left on base so far in this game, and if you want to try and come back and even this series, you've got to start to convert those to runs.
They left 10 men on last night. TCU had multiple chances in the ball game to advance their what was a 1-run lead until late in the ball game, and just could not come up with a critical hit. Bobby Goodlow takes a strike on the outside corner.
You know, if you're a TCU fan and you're just wondering what's going on this week that's led to 3 losses this week in games that you otherwise would have thought that you would have won, I mean, it's just a lack of execution, and that's really what it boils down to.
Big cut by Goodlow. He came up empty, and now he's down in the count 0-2.
This team's been in situations that, you know, they've had a chance to capitalize, either get back into games, take a lead, extend a lead, and they haven't been able to do that. And a chance to win the game last night in the bottom of the 9th.
Goodlow fouls it left side and out of play. In last night's game, you know, we talked about Bishop and the fact that he was at the plate, and the strike 3 call was, you know, questionable by home plate umpire Mark Winters. But the fact is, TCU had the first two men got on via the walk, and then Maxwell and Nunez both struck out. This ball's hit down the right field line, and it is a foul ball as it hooks in the foul ground. Goodlow making a bid for an extra base hit. You know, but you had the first 2 men on in that inning, and you know, you got back-to-back strikeouts, then the walk to load the bases before Bishop struck out. And if any one of those guys does anything different besides strike out, it could have changed the complexion of that inning.
Yeah, and that's what the messaging from the coaching staff is going to be, especially to the players, is you know, you can say what you want. All the focus is going to be on that last strike call, as questionable as it was. But there's so many things that led to that moment that could have gone in a different way.
Goodlow fouled that one directly back to the screen. And it wasn't just that inning. Obviously, when you leave 10 men on base, you had other opportunities as well during the course of the ball game that just couldn't convert. And Goodlow strikes out on a high pitch here. 1 out. As Goodlow heads back into the dugout.
Hampton still effective now, up over 100 pitches for the afternoon, able to beat Bobby Goodlow with that fastball. And Chuck, the thing is, you know, the teams that ultimately make their way through the postseason and are playing in Omaha at the end of June are the ones that can execute day in and day out in all of those situations. You talk about the start that Tennessee has gotten off to, 25-1, and that's just showing up every single day, doing your job on every single pitch. And we've seen how quickly things can turn. Obviously, TCU a strike away from winning this ball game last night, and then the flip of a switch. Now you're having to score a run to tie the game back up in the 9th inning.
Garrison Berkeley has a base hit, check swing, bouncer to the right side, and it's played on the hop by the pitcher Hampton. He gets it to first base in time for the out. Little excuse me swing by Berkeley. Advances Boyers to second base, but now there are 2 outs. Berkeley just caught in between on that pitch that was up. Left the barrel out over the plate. Nunez takes a fastball inside, ball 1. Nunez with a couple of walks, also has a sacrifice fly today. Chance to pick up a run here and cut the deficit to 1 if he can come up with a 2-out base hit to give Boyers a ride in from second base. Hampton wants a new baseball as he calls for time. You can see second base umpire Dan Matheny there. Holding up his arms. Pitch that was up. Fastball right at the letters. Nunez swung through it. Now he's ahead in the count, 2 balls and a strike. Hampton trying to work around a leadoff hit by pitch. And now he's a strike away from getting out of trouble here in the 6th inning and keeping it a 2-run ball game in favor of the Mountaineers. Boyers hoping that Nunez can give him a ride home. Back through the middle, that's a base hit. Boyers rounding third, being waved in. The throw is cut off. And it's a 1-run ball game as Nunez delivers an RBI single up the middle.
And this is winning baseball now from Elijah Nunez and TCU. 2-out hitting, so crucial in every game, but especially when you're struggling. And Nunez, who's been going through a little bit of a tough streak at the plate, able to stay on top of this one and drive that ball through the middle. Luke Boyers with 2 outs is moving on contact. He's able to score easily. And now
Dirt. Well, Taylor got a pitch over the middle of the plate that he could drive and wasted no time on it. That pitch is down again. This time Bishop lays off. One for three for Bishop here this afternoon. And he's ahead in the count, 2 balls and a strike. Here's the 2-1. Bishop lays off a breaking ball up, and all of a sudden Hampton was up to 115 pitches, having problems throwing it in the strike zone. Randy Mazie looks on, and there's ball 4.
The matchup right here. And Gray Rogers had a great single, good swing in the 3rd inning off of Hampton. We'll see who's able to win this last battle.
Rogers hits this one to straightaway center field. Scott drifts back and makes the catch for the final out of the inning. TCU takes the lead. They pick up 3 runs. The big blow, the Braden Taylor homer. 1 of 2 hits in the inning. It's 5-4 TCU. We get to the top of the 7th. TCU the 5-4 lead now, thanks to Braden Taylor and this swing.
How many times has it been Braden Taylor for TCU? This one inside from Hampton, and Taylor absolutely crushes this. You see how far back that ball goes. We don't see many go that far here at Lupton Stadium, but for TCU, it was going to take somebody to make a huge play at the plate, and it's not surprising for it to be Braden Taylor. He really is the heartbeat of this Horned Frog offense. And now the challenge for TCU, can you win these next 3 innings and get yourself back in the win column?
That one is fouled off by Taven Tucker. 78 pitches now by Marcelo Perez. It's Tucker at the plate, has a base hit, has scored a run. He's also grounded to Taylor over at 3rd, so 1 for 2 for him. Pitch a little bit off the inside corner, and leaving the count at 1-1. Tucker showed bunt, took a fastball up, and the count goes to 2-1. The last thing you want to do is allow West Virginia to get traffic on the bases after your team's climbed all the way out from the deficit. That one is fouled back over the roof and out of play. Marcelo Perez has done a great job for TCU here this afternoon. 5 2/3 innings now. That's a career high, just a couple of hits and the 1 run.
You got to give all the credit in the world to Marcelo Perez, coming in with bases loaded back in the 1st inning, as he's kept TCU in this game, 0s in the last 4 innings, and now they've obviously found themselves back in the lead.
Full count, 3-2 on Tucker. This West Virginia team, they understand that they have speed and the ability to make things happen and manufacture runs on the base paths. Strike 3 called, he struck him out. And they are content to take a lot of pitches. They know that they're not going to, in a lot of cases, hit their way to victories. They need to get on base and then make things happen once they're there.
We talked about the batting average as a team for West Virginia. As you get a look at that fastball, it just freezes Tevin Tucker. But again, the mission for the Mountaineers is to get to first base, because if you get to first base, a lot of times you're going to find yourself on 3rd, and then you don't necessarily need the benefit of a hit to score those runs. That's what we've seen from pitch 1 of last night's game.
Austin Davis at the plate takes a breaking ball that bounces shy of home plate. For ball 1. Davis has been aboard once. 0 for 2 with a walk. Walked and scored all the way back in the first inning. Heading the count here, 2-0. Since then, he's flown out to center, struck out. Time is called as Davis felt like Perez was taking a little too long to deliver that pitch. Marcelo misses with a fastball, and now it's 3-0 on Davis. Here's the 3-0. And Marcelo may have another inning in him, depending upon whether he can get Weatherhurst.
Again, we mentioned this earlier. He has practiced in the past with, through fall practices to be a starting pitcher. So this is not the first time that he's been stretched. Now, again, we mentioned this is a career high for him. Now 6 1/3 innings on his outing for the day.
Kirk Saarloos looking on, has to be very happy with what he has seen here. In fact, we were talking in between innings, wouldn't be surprised. That one is rolled foul down the first base line. For Marcelo Perez to get a chance to be a starter at some point this season.
Frankly, I think you've almost got to make that move after what you're seeing. If you're Kirk Saarloos here today, and we've talked about the struggles that Brown has had in the first inning of games, and as you get into that gauntlet of the schedule that we've alluded to coming up for the next 4 or 5 weeks for TCU, you've just got to have some consistency in that spot, and against those teams you just can't afford to get off to slow starts.
Here's the 1-2 on the ground. Sacco was playing on that side of second base, feels it. So good velocity from Carson Reed. Saw a couple of good arms out of the bullpen for West Virginia last night. And Reed another one with a good fastball. Sacco fouls that one off. Reed is sophomore, 6'4", 200 out of Marietta, Georgia. Went to Marietta High School, so be surprised if he and David Bishop ran into one another a time or two. Bishop a year younger, but from Marietta. Bishop went to Fellowship Christian High School, not Marietta High School, so they weren't teammates. Sacco drills this one to deep left field. Barry back at the track field. Down in the count now, no balls and 2 strikes. Just off the outside corner. 1-2, tried to get him to chase that pitch. Reed comes set. Byrne ropes it down the left field line, just foul. Out in front of that off-speed pitch by just a hair.
Curtis is starting to put some more Curtis Byrne-like swings on balls. Had the big double to right field back in the 3rd inning. Hit a line drive in his last at bat in the 5th. This one again just misses. His second double of the day. He's looking like he's continuing to make some small adjustments, get back on time.
There's the 1-2 to Curtis after he got back to home plate. Lays off that pitch down and away, and they're leaving the count up at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Line drive, left center field, base hit. Curtis Burns stopped at first. He's aboard with a 1-out single. And he's starting to put together better at-bats and put better swings on baseballs.
We talked at the early part of the season how hard he hits the ball. This is a line drive into left field. He stays on a breaking ball. It's up in the zone from Carlson Reed.
And he's aboard over at first base. And Luke Boyers will come to the plate for the Horned Frogs. Pitch out, nothing on. Curtis Bird, really not much of a threat to go. He's not attempted a stolen base all year long.
I'm surprised to see that there from West Virginia, especially Randy Mazey, how well he knows this TCU team.
Boyers lays off a pitch down low, 2 balls and no strikes. Luke hit by a pitch his last time up, scored the 3rd run of the game for the Horned Frogs. He's also struck out a couple of times, so 0 for 2 officially for Boyers, who's now hitting .260 on the year. Tried to check his swing and did on that fastball up and away. Mark Winter not wanting to hear the wrath of the TCU fans again.
Don't think that's something that he would be looking forward to today. It was loud on the Twitter sphere last night.
There's a strike to Boyers, and he's 3-1. Got to be thick-skinned if you're going to be an umpire, though.
I have to be, absolutely have to be.
No matter what decision you make, 50% of the people aren't going to like you. Pull foul down the first base line. No, it's full now, 3-2 on Boyers. Reed looks in for the side. Here's the payoff pitch. Boyers fouled it back. Got a fastball up and in. Was able to make contact. So he keeps the count full, 3-2.
I think the thing that's changed the most with Luke Boyers, and we're getting to see this, as this season plays out and progresses, is that his plate discipline's gotten a lot better. His strikeouts are high for this year, but a lot of that's weighted towards the early part of the season.
Strike 3 called on the inside corner, and a good pitch by Carlson Reed.
I was just going to mention how many good pitches that he was taking that were out of the strike zone, but this one in. And another West Virginia pitcher that goes to that fastball on the inside part of the plate to strike out a left-handed TCU hitter, something that we saw a ton last night with Jacob Waters and Trey Braithwaite.
So now with 2 outs and a runner at first base, Bobby Goodlow will bat. And Goodlow takes a little bit outside for ball 1. Bobby reached on an error and scored in the 2nd. He's grounded to first, struck out, so 0 for 3 for Bobby tonight, or this afternoon. But he has hit the ball hard at least once. continues to put together pretty good at bats. So Goodlow trying to make a case for him to be the designated hitter. Put a good swing on that fastball, but fouled it straight back. Bobby upset with himself that he didn't hit it. And shaking his head after that foul ball straight back. Marson Reed ready on the mound. Goodlow takes a fastball strike at 96. Two and two on Bobby Goodlow with 2 outs and a runner at first base for TCU. Curtis Byrne chased back with the throw over. Here's the 2-2 to Bobby Goodlow. Strike 3 called. He struck him out on a fastball over the outside corner, and that will do it for the
6 outs quickly. If you're TCU, you get to avoid that gauntlet of speed.
Ball 4, and the tying run is on to start the 8th inning. And with Victor Scott, putting him on base is like putting him on second. Although he was picked off first base his last time up. And with the lefty Vail on the mound, he's got a little bit of a better look at him.
Judging by what we've seen so far now this weekend, I wouldn't expect that to slow him down at all over at first base. Maybe he takes a pitch to see what Vail's got, but I expect him to be on the move.
5 straight out of the strike zone, and Curtis Byrne is going to go out to the mound to talk to Tommy Vail. Certainly not the way you want this inning to start if you're a TCU fan. With that guy over at first base after the leadoff walk on 4 pitches. And here comes Kyle Winkler to join the conversation out on the mound. Winkler directing his comments right to Tommy Vail. Garrett Wright, along with Caleb Bolden in the TCU bullpen. River Ridings, the normal closer, ended up throwing about 30 pitches last night, so he's probably out of the mix here this afternoon.
We actually saw Garrett Wright get up last night in the bullpen during that 9th inning. Talked about the progression that he has made over the last several weeks. Wouldn't be surprised to see him in this ball game at some point.
And there's the 1-0 to Grant Hussey before it comes to throw over to first base to chase Scott back to the bag. Oh for 3 for Hussey. Struck out 3 times and takes a fastball at 91 to even the count at 1-1. I know you're not a gambling man, but if you were, how long do you think Victor Scott stays over at first base? Another pitch, 2 maybe? A little bit low, 2-1.
I mean, I've got to think it's within the next couple of pitches now. You've got Hussey at the plate, who struck out 7 times over the last 2 games.
There he goes. The pitch is taken for a ball. Throw down to second base. Count full, 3 balls and 2 strikes. Obviously no margin for error coming in with a 3-1 count. He's got to throw strikes. In the air, left field. This one slicing towards foul ground. Long run for Berkeley, and he makes the catch crossing in the foul territory for the out. So Tommy Vail does, Caleb Bolden comes on, does a great job to get the out after Tommy Vail left with a 3-1 count.
Definitely a tough situation to come in as a relief pitcher. Berkeley does a nice job of getting over. He was playing shaded a little bit towards left center field, but able to get over across the foul line and make that catch.
And that's a big out. Kevin Dowdell pinch hitting here. Dowdell takes that one down low. Dowdell, a junior, hitting just 182. Foul that one straight back. And leaving the count at 1-1. Bolden delivers, misses outside. 2 balls and a strike. Now TCU puts the heavy shift on. 3 infielders on the right side. Only Braden Taylor's on the left, and he's almost up the middle. Cut on and missed. Went after a 94-mile-an-hour fastball up in the strike zone. Get a look at the shift there. Rogers backed out onto the outfield grass. Swing and a miss, he struck him out. Good job by Caleb Bolden entering the game. He retires the 2 batters that he faces and keeps it a 1-run game. We enter the bottom half of the 8th. TCU by a run, 5-4. We go to the bottom half of the 8th inning here in Fort Worth. TCU holding on to a 1-run lead, 5-4. Let's take a look at what else is happening today around the Big 12. Over in Arlington, Texas at Globe Life Field. Oklahoma beat the 8th-ranked Longhorns 4-2 in that game. Up in Lawrence, Kansas, Texas Tech really putting the hammer down on Kansas. They beat them 28-2. Down in Waco, Baylor in a non-conference affair with East Tennessee State. They are leading 5-4. That game's in the bottom half of the 7th and the top of the 4th. Up in Manhattan, Kansas, it's Oklahoma State 3 and Kansas State 1. Right here, TCU leading the Mountaineers by a score of 5-4, and a pinch hitter sent up by TCU. Logan Maxwell will pinch hit. And he takes a strike. Maxwell hitting an even 200. He was 0 for 4 last night. Checks his swing, takes the pitch off the plate to even the count at 1-1. Maxwell with a good swing, fouled it straight back, and now he's down to the count of ball and 2 strikes. Carson Reed back to the mound here in the 8th. Little cue shot off the end of the bat, trickles into foul ground. Maxwell hustling down the line just in case that ball stayed fair.
See Maxwell in a little bit of audition time for himself right now, trying to keep hold of that job that he's had in left field. We see Garrison Berkeley get the start today. Now TCU turns back to Maxwell with the right-handed Reed on the mound. Logan had started to swing the bat a little bit better over the last week or so, but still those situational at-bats are what's plaguing him as he fouls this one back and stays 1-2.
Yesterday he had an opportunity to lay down a sacrifice bunt late in the ball game, couldn't get it down. That one is foul back. And that came, I believe, in the 7th inning. The Horned Frogs had some runners on. But check that. That was actually in the 9th inning of last night's game. He eventually struck out. And he strikes out here looking for the first out of the inning here in the bottom half of the 8th. Back to the top of the order for Elijah Nunez. First strikeout for Reed. This inning, 3rd overall.
We've seen him get frozen up on a few pitches like this recently. And you've talked about transitions and you know how it's come so easily and natural for David Bishop. It's been a lot tougher for Maxwell.
Fastball strike to Nunez. And he's still looking to find his footing. Elijah 1 for 1, had a base hit, drove in a run last inning, or excuse me, back in the 6th. This one has popped up foul territory, and that'll land on the ground as the wind pushed it back. JJ Weatherholt went after it and overran it. And the wind actually has died down a little bit, but that ball came back towards fair territory and just flat out overran that ball.
Well, it looks like he just loses the ball a little bit on that run and ends up nowhere near it. Down the line, a tough angle for a third baseman though. And that ball not hit overly high into the sky by Nunez.
Bouncer towards short. Tucker charges, comes up with it, gets it over to first. Braden Taylor gave TCU the lead back in the 6th inning. The first lead of the afternoon. Throw over to first base, and Nunez is back.
I wouldn't throw to him either.
Nunez working his way off the first base bag. And another throw over. Nunez occupying some space in Carson Reed's head at the moment. They try to keep him close. Another throw over to first base this time. Nunez is back standing up. Braden Taylor with a long home run to deep right center field. His last time to the plate back in the 6th. Gave the Frogs the 5-4 lead they enjoy right now. And another throw over to first base.
I think the most I've ever seen a West Virginia team do is 8 in a row. I don't remember when that was. This is not the first time this has happened, though.
They want Nunez to know they're thinking about him over there. Finally delivers the pitch. This one's lined to right field and caught by Davis. Another hard hit ball by Braden Taylor. Got on top of this one just a little too much.
Another good swing from Taylor, though. You see this, it's just a line drive.
First baseman, David Bishop.
Hit hard out there into right field. Davis able to come in and make the play, though. And for West Virginia, they're fortunate that that ball didn't have any more angle off the bat. Otherwise, it would have been Taylor's second home run of the day.
So now David Bishop will bat with 2 outs and Nunez aboard over at first. Carson Reed will spend a little more time saying hello to Nunez over at first base. Bishop takes the strike. The slider on the inside corner. Bishop 1 for 3. Had a base hit all the way back in the first. He has struck out twice and walked since then. Nunez getting a workout over at first base. Equipment staff's going to have a little extra laundry to do. Strike 2 called to David Bishop. I think he thought that was a little upstairs. Way outside, snap throw down to first base, almost got by Hussey there. He was just able to get enough of it to knock it down. Reed ready on the mound. Here's the 1-2 to Bishop. Strike 3 call. Bishop strikes out looking, and that's something we haven't seen a lot of, but he struck out 3 times here today. We'll go to the 9th inning. TCU hanging on to a 5-4 lead. A little Gatorade mixing going on there in the on the TCU bench as we head to the top half of the 9th inning. We've been talking about the TCU schedule coming up after tomorrow's ball game. It's a 5-game road trip for the Horned Frogs at UTA on Tuesday night. Then a 3-game set down in Austin against Texas, followed by an away game against Dallas Baptist. Then they'll be home to host the Red Raiders. Next series that will start on Thursday through Saturday. That is Easter weekend, and then a midweek affair here at home against UTA. Final time we'll see the Mavericks this season. But for right now, TCU trying to get through the 9th inning and pick up a victory here against West Virginia as Braden Barry leads it off and takes a strike from Caleb Bolden, who's still in the ball game for the Horned Frogs. Bolden delivers a slider to the outside corner, 0-2. Barry's reached on an error and singled. He's also grounded to first base. Chops this one to the left side. Tough play. Taylor comes up with it, fires across, and there's one away. That was not an easy play by Braden Taylor.
No, and it was pretty awkward with the way that he had to set up his feet there. Almost looked like he threw off the wrong leg, but he's proven he's so good at coming in on those choppers and making that throw. This is another one here that he's able to get before it hops again, making that play as easy as possible for him.
And he does what Tommy Sacco's so good at, and that is they know, when they just got to uncork the throw quickly and just get it over there, not worry about too much velocity on it, or when they have time to wind up and fire it, or need to wind up and fire it. And that time you're right, it looked like he was off balance, but able to just get it across, give Bishop an opportunity to make a play on the other side. Fouled, right side now to play to Dane Leonard. And Bolden's ahead 0-2 now. 0 for 2 for Leonard, hit by a pitch all the way back in the first. It's grounded to Rogers twice since then. Swing and a miss, he struck him out. West Virginia down their final out of the afternoon. Caleb Bolden has done an outstanding job since he came in last inning. If TCU can hang on and win this game, as we take another look at this pitch from Bolden. if TCU can come back and win this ball game, you have to hand it to their bullpen. An outstanding job, and they should get full credit for the job that they have done today.
Absolutely. When your starter comes out only 1 out into the game, there's nothing good that could have possibly happened. And for Marcelo Perez to go 6 2/3, Caleb Bolden has come in and looked sharp, which is not what we saw from him on Wednesday night. His pitches are crisp and at the bottom of the zone here today.
Pinch hitter for West Virginia, Nathan Vlasic, and he takes the first pitch in there for a strike. Vlasic hitting .231. First time we've seen him this weekend. Time is called by Curtis Byrne. He wanted coaches to reset. That pitch a little bit low. See Curtis down on one knee for that pitch. He was wanting to make sure that Caleb Bolden got that pitch down. Line towards the gap in left center field. This one's going to get down and split the outfielders. Nunez over to pick it up, and the pinch hitter Vlasic is standing at second base with a double. And West Virginia with life as they have the tying run out at second with 2 outs.
And here we go again, this time.
From the stretch with the tying run out at second. Good speed in the person of Abernathy. And it looks like West Virginia's going to send up another pinch hitter. Evan Smith will pinch hit for Tavon Tucker. Now, Evan Smith, the pinch hitter, another left-handed hitter. 4 for 22. 2 of his 4 hits going for doubles. Bolden's pitch is down low, ball 1. Tying run out at second base. That's the pinch runner, Ben Abernathy. After the pinch hit double by Nathan Vlasic. Bolden comes set. Foul back, and it's 1-1.
Bolden doesn't have to change really anything at all. He's looked good for the 18 pitches that he's been in this game. The one that he left up is the one that was ultimately hit into the gap by Vlasic there.
Pickoff play out at second base. So kind of an oddity. You see the pitcher inherent account and the new hitter inherent account. This one's in the air to center field. Should do it as Nunez